Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Imagine a street in Dublin, Ireland. One day, a striking scene unfolded. Hundreds of people stood in a very long line. They were not waiting for a popular event or a new product launch. Instead, these men and women, young and old, were all hoping to view just one apartment for rent. This single home cost a lot of money each month, but many still wanted it, holding their documents and hoping for a chance at basic shelter. This picture was very surprising for a country like Ireland. This is because, by official measures, Ireland is known as one of the richest countries in the world. When we look at its wealth per person, known as GDP per capita, Ireland ranks among the highest globally. Its economy seems to create a huge amount of money, making it appear as a truly successful nation on paper. Yet, below these impressive numbers, the daily reality for many people in Ireland is very different and difficult. The number of people experiencing homelessness has reached record highs, with thousands of individuals and families living without a stable home. Additionally, many young people in Ireland are seriously thinking about moving to other countries. Even those with good education and jobs often find it hard to afford a home or access timely health care. This situation presents a big puzzle. How can a country be so wealthy in statistics but face such deep problems for its citizens? How can the economic figures suggest great success when many everyday people struggle with basic needs? The answer lies in a special idea known as leprechaun economics. This term, first used by an important economist, helps to explain this difference. It points out that much of Ireland's high statistical wealth does not directly benefit the people living there. This money often exists more on paper, making the country look rich while the difficult reality remains for many citizens. This book will explore this unique and complex situation further. 2. The rich country. For a long time, Ireland was known as one of Europe's poorer countries. Life was often hard. In the 1980s, many people could not find work, and living standards were lower than in most other European nations. Young people often had to leave Ireland to find jobs and build their lives somewhere else. The country's economy was not very strong, relying mostly on farming and a small local market. However, in the late 1980s, Ireland's leaders made an important choice. They wanted to change the country's future. They decided to make Ireland a place where big international companies, called multinational corporations, would want to come and do business. The idea was to attract these companies to set up their European offices and factories in Ireland, which would bring jobs and money into the country. The key part of this plan was to offer a very low tax rate for these companies. Ireland set its corporate tax rate at just 12.5%. This was much lower than the tax rates in most other European countries. This low tax rate made Ireland a very attractive place for large companies like Intel, Microsoft, and Pfizer to move their operations. They could save a lot of money on taxes by being in Ireland. This new strategy led to a period of fast economic growth that people called the Celtic Tiger. From 1995 to 2007, Ireland's economy grew very quickly. People's lives got much better, and there were many new jobs. Unemployment went down from over 15% to under 4%. For the first time in many years, people started moving to Ireland, not leaving it. There was a real feeling of progress and wealth. New roads were built and wages went up. But this period also created some problems. Ireland's economy became very dependent on these large international companies. Then, in 2008, a big financial crisis hit the world. Ireland's economy was badly affected. The building industry, which had grown very big, collapsed, and many banks needed help. Many people lost their jobs again, and some started to emigrate. Ireland had to ask for financial help from other countries. The country then started a difficult recovery, which people called the Celtic Phoenix. To get better, Ireland once again relied heavily on attracting multinational companies. It continued to offer special tax deals to make sure these big companies stayed and brought even more money through Ireland. This helped the country's economy to grow again, but it meant Ireland depended even more on these tax arrangements with global corporations. 3. The big problem. The most difficult problem in Ireland today is the severe housing crisis. It is very visible. Long lines of people waiting to view a single apartment are common. These are not people without jobs. They are often young professionals like teachers, nurses, or engineers. They have good jobs, but they cannot find affordable housing. Across the whole country, there are very few homes available for rent. On many days, fewer than 1,000 rental homes are listed for the entire nation of over 5 million people. In Dublin, a big city, sometimes fewer than 50 rental homes are available. This means many people compete for each home. Rental prices have grown much faster than salaries. This situation affects many young people. They are often called generation rent. This means they spend a very large part of their money just on rent. In Dublin, people often use a huge part of their income for housing. This leaves little for savings or daily life. They struggle to plan for the future. Many educated young people are forced to live with their parents. This is out of necessity. They cannot find affordable homes. More than half of Irish adults under 35 live with their parents. This problem is called generation boomerang. These are young, working adults who return to live with parents. They cannot afford independent living even with good jobs. The housing crisis delays important life decisions. Young couples often wait to get married or start families because they do not have a suitable home. The constant search for a home causes much stress. It is a big challenge to build a stable life in Ireland. The crisis shows that even with good economic numbers, reality for many citizens is hard. 4. A sick system. Ireland's problems are not only about housing. The country also faces a very serious crisis in its public healthcare system. This system, known as the Health Service Executive (HSE), is meant to provide care for everyone. However, many people say it works slowly and causes long delays for patients. It is often called a sick system because it struggles so much. Today, more than 700,000 people are waiting for hospital care. This huge number means about 1 in every 7 Irish citizens is on a waiting list. They wait for different things, from seeing a specialist doctor to having important operations. Some patients wait for many months, and a large number even wait for over 2 years. For example, people needing surgery like a hip replacement or eye surgery often face waiting times of 3 or 4 years. Even cancer patients who should be helped quickly often wait weeks for their first doctor's visit and then months to start treatment. These long delays are not just an inconvenience. They can harm people's health and greatly reduce their quality of life. Because conditions are so difficult in Ireland's hospitals and clinics, many highly trained Irish doctors and nurses are choosing to leave the country. They move to work in other English-speaking countries like Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. For instance, Dr. Sarah O'Brien, an emergency medicine doctor, moved to Sydney in 2023. She worked very long shifts in crowded emergency rooms where patients waited on beds in corridors for days. She and her colleagues felt exhausted trying to provide good care with too few staff and old equipment. The number of medical staff leaving is worrying. In 2024 alone, over 1,200 doctors and 2,500 nurses left Ireland. Ireland spends a lot of public money to train these skilled people, but then they leave for countries that offer them better working conditions, homes they can afford, and a better balance between their work and personal lives. The crisis also affects family doctors, known as GPs. In many communities, especially in rural areas, there is no local family doctor. This forces people to travel long distances, sometimes for hours, just to get basic medical care. The family doctors who remain are extremely busy and feel they do not have enough help. This means patients often get shorter appointment times, and it becomes harder to get regular checkups. This situation shows a clear struggle in providing basic services for citizens, even as the country's economy looks strong on paper. 5. Leprechaun money. Ireland's economy often looks very rich on paper, but many people do not feel this wealth. This difference is called leprechaun economics. A famous economist used this name in 2016, when Ireland's economy seemed to grow by a huge amount, 26.3% in just 1 year. This big growth was not from new factories or many new jobs. It was mostly due to how large international companies manage their money for tax reasons. Gross Domestic Product, or GDP, measures the value of all goods and services made in a country.
For most countries, GDP shows how strong their economy is. But in Ireland, GDP numbers are much higher than what people really feel. Think of it like a very big pipe going through your garden. Lots of water flows through it, but it does not make your plants grow. This is how much of Ireland's wealth works. Big companies, especially in technology and medicine, have offices in Ireland.
They use Ireland's tax rules to pay less tax on their profits around the world. For example, if you buy a phone in another country, some of that profit might be counted in Ireland. This is because the company's Irish office might own the rights to the phone's design or technology. So billions of euros of profit appear in Ireland's GDP. But these profits do not create many jobs or help Irish people directly. These large international companies make up a big part of Ireland's GDP, about 40%, but they employ less than 10% of all workers. This shows that the wealth is very concentrated and does not spread widely. Because of this, Ireland's official statistics office created a new way to measure the economy. It is called GNI, Modified Gross National Income. GNI shows a more real picture of how much money stays in Ireland and benefits Irish people. In 2024, Ireland's GDP was 562 billion euros, but the GNI was much lower, only 321 billion euros. This big difference, 241 billion euros, is money that passes through Ireland but does not stay there. When we look at GDP per person, Ireland looks like one of the richest countries in the world. But if we use GNI per person, Ireland is still a rich country, but it is more similar to countries like Denmark or the Netherlands. This second number is closer to what Irish people experience every day. The wealth often exists only on paper, not in the pockets of most citizens. 6. Two Irelands. Ireland's economy often feels like it has two separate parts. This is called a dual economy, or a two-speed economy. One part is very strong and brings in a lot of money. The other part struggles more, even though many people work in it. The strong part of the economy involves big international companies, especially in technology. These companies employ many people who often earn very good salaries. These high salaries mean these workers can afford higher prices for things. For example, they can pay more for rent or buy expensive homes. However, this also means that living costs in Ireland, especially for housing, go up for everyone. Restaurants and shops also charge more because some people can pay those higher prices. This creates a problem for the second part of the economy. The second part is for most Irish workers. These are people who work in local businesses, shops, hospitals, or schools. Their wages are more like average European wages. They do not get the very high salaries that multinational company employees might get, but they still have to pay the very high living costs that the stronger part of the economy creates. So, There is a growing gap between a small group of highly paid people and the majority of the population. The rich get richer, and life becomes harder for many others. Teachers, nurses, and many other working people find it very difficult to afford a home or live comfortably in their own country. Even with good jobs, they struggle to make ends meet. This big difference pushes many young Irish people to leave. They are well educated, but they cannot build a good life in Ireland. They look for places where their average wages can buy them a home and a comfortable life. So, Ireland, even with its wealth on paper, sees its young talent moving away. 7. A weak foundation. Ireland's economy is built on a weak foundation. It relies heavily on tax money from just a few large international companies. These multinational corporations pay a very big part of the government's income. For example, in 2024, about 25% of all the tax money the government received came from these company profits. This situation is risky because it makes the country's finances very dependent on what these few companies do. If they decide to change their business plans or move their money elsewhere, Ireland's government could quickly lose a huge amount of its yearly income. This dependence makes the economy less stable. New global tax rules also present a big threat to Ireland's economic model. Important international groups like the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, known as OECD, have agreed on new plans. They want a global minimum tax rate of 15% for large multinational companies. This rule means that even if a company uses Ireland's lower tax rate, it would still pay at least 15% overall. Ireland's main selling point to these companies has been its very low tax rate, often 12.5%. If this new rule becomes fully effective, Ireland's special advantage could disappear, making the country less attractive for companies looking to save on taxes. Furthermore, Ireland faces harm to its good name. Many experts and organizations around the world often call Ireland a tax haven. This means they believe Ireland helps big companies avoid paying their full share of taxes in other countries. This label creates a negative image for Ireland on the global stage. It suggests that Ireland prioritizes attracting corporate money over fairness in international taxation. This can make other countries view Ireland less favorably. The country's historical image as a small nation that values justice can be damaged by this reputation for tax practices. The biggest risk is what happens if these few large companies change their minds. If they reduce their operations in Ireland or move their profits away, the Irish government could see a sharp drop in its income. Without this large sum of money, Ireland would struggle greatly to pay for important public services. It would be much harder to fix big national problems, such as the severe housing crisis or the long waiting lists in hospitals.
The current economic success seems strong, but it is built on a very unstable foundation, depending on too few sources of income that can easily be taken away. 8. The way forward. Ireland shows a strange picture. On paper, it is one of the world's richest countries, but for many people, life is hard. They struggle to find a home or get health care. This difference is because a lot of Ireland's wealth comes from big global companies that move money through Ireland for tax reasons. This makes the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, look very high. This idea is sometimes called leprechaun economics. True success for a country should not only be about big numbers. It should be about how well people can live. The modified gross national income, or GNI, gives a better idea of how much money is really staying and helping people in Ireland. It shows a more real picture of the economy that affects families every day. The government gets a lot of money from the taxes paid by these large global companies. This money should be used to fix the problems that people face. For example, there is a big need for more affordable homes. Many young people, like teachers and nurses, cannot find a place to live in their own country. Also, hospitals have very long waiting lists for people who need medical help. Investing these tax revenues into housing and the health system is very important. This would make life better for many citizens. Ireland needs to build a stronger and more stable local economy. It should not depend so much on just a few big companies. This means helping local businesses grow and creating more good jobs for Irish people. It also means making sure that the cost of living, like rent and everyday goods, does not go too high for average wages. This will make the country stronger in the long term, even if global tax rules change. Real national success happens when people can afford to build a good life in their own country. It means being able to buy a home, get good health care, and have a good job without thinking about leaving. It means people feel secure and happy where they live. This is the way forward for Ireland, focusing on the well-being of its people over just impressive economic figures. What do you think is the most important thing for Ireland to change to make life better for its citizens?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.